In today's video, we're going to be talking about how you are one bottleneck away from your next record month, goal, or complete breakthrough in your business or life. We're going to go through the bottleneck theory and how to change your lens to view the one constraint that is in your business right now that is limiting your growth, and then how to solve for it. All right, so we're going to go through real examples of how we identify them and how we solve them, and then go through the big shift here at the end, which is going to be fixing versus replacing yourself, which is massive when solving for these on how you can grow into the future. All right. Last year, we did $30 million in cash collected in our info coaching business. We've now done 73.5 in total cash collected in this business. I took the screenshot right before this, and I am not selling you anything. Everything on the channel is to share what did work, didn't work, and what we're actively doing to scale to over 100 million a year. And my entire goal here is to find top talent, opportunities, and build a cool network of people doing cool shit. All right, so let's get into it. Before we start this, it's late. It's like 9 p.m. If you watch these, this is day 65 in a row of making these videos. And I just want to say all of this is my opinion. This is not, there's no ego, no whatever. Like, this is just us building in the trenches. We have done everything wrong you can imagine. And I want to make sure it stays that way. So no ego, no fluff. I know this much about our industry that's this big, then online business is this big, then overall business, and then life is this big. Like, I know this much about a couple things, and this is my opinion on them. So let's get into it. Bottleneck theory in your lens. So this is how we view everything. I always say on here, like, everything's a funnel, and you can look at that very easily with a bottleneck. So Russell says you're only one funnel away from breakthrough. I'm saying you're only one bottleneck away. Same thing, right? So one constraint is limiting your growth. That can be in your sales process. That can be in your marketing process. That can be in your fulfillment. That can be in your thinking. Okay. So more volume does nothing in that case. An example of this: if you have a 5% opt-in rate on the beginning of your funnel, on a VSL opt-in funnel, and your cost per call is $500, and you're trying to increase your VSL, and you're trying to make it, or you're trying to increase the rate of your VSL and get more engagement on it and get it to get a better rate, you are doing the wrong thing. You're solving for the wrong thing. More volume through that. No one even makes it to the VSL. Okay, so you need to understand that because your opt-in rate is so bad, and this can be applied in anything, but more volume does not do anything, and more throughput at other layers, yes, it partially helps, but you're solving for the wrong thing and not finding the thing with the biggest lever. Okay, so it'll be the same dollars, the same percents that'll occur past that on the funnel, but you need to optimize for the right things, okay? And then all about solving them. So we're going to go through some real examples of how we're doing this, and I'm going to try and do these broken down like this. So for marketing funnels, for example, we run 3 funnels. You can go in current state, and you can go onto the channel and see I do like a full breakdown that's long and shows the full funnel break. But VSL opt-in funnel, a DTA, which is a direct to application funnel, so headline, VSL, and then apply button, and then a low ticket. And for us, low ticket is focused on ascension, not on AOV and like front end profitability. We're just trying to liquidate 50% of it. So with the VSL funnel, for us right now, how we are testing and what we're trying to solve for in these funnels, really in the end, is the cost per acquisition. Okay. So yes, you can have one funnel that runs that has a $500 cost per call, and you have one that runs a $50 cost per call. That does not necessarily mean because you have a $50 one, it's going to pass through at the same conversion rates after the fact. Okay. So for a VSL, you're optimizing around the opt-in rate. You're optimizing around the application, the booking, the show, and then the close. Okay. DTA, you're optimizing around the application, the booking, the show, the close. So you don't have the opt-in in that one. And for low ticket, you're optimizing for the front end conversion percentage. You are then optimizing for the AOV-ish and the checkout conversion. You are then optimizing for us. We're going through a setter and then a book and then a closer. So you have show rates on both those and conversions on both those to a client, okay, to a close. So for us right now, the big thing is our VSL is working, and it has worked, but it has died out, and it was because we were not solving for the right bottleneck, and the right bottleneck was more so around the entire messaging and how much it's been used in the marketplace versus testing a different funnel and it not actually being the funnel, which is like the funny part. What I'm trying to get into here is like the bottleneck itself was not the metrics on the funnel. It was not, it was, but it was overall across the funnel, and it was because of the messaging, because there was nothing new there. DTA. The issue here is we were solving for a constraint of trying initially, because I'm telling you what we did wrong, because we've done everything wrong. We were solving for the booking cost and for what we were trying to optimize for. When what really now the bottleneck is, and what we're looking at is the throughput is there, right? The costs are there, but it's not backing out because they don't have the consumption, because they don't have those layers. Low ticket for us right now initially we're like, oh, we just need to get the CPA down, the net CPA, we just need to get the net CPA all the way down. And what really we needed to be focusing on this entire time was actually how the messaging of the whole thing and the messaging of the entire funnel was built for a warmer audience, so it cannot be scaled to the same layer. Now, there's different theories around this and beliefs, like you can use it as retargeting or not, but solving for that, okay? Now, in the business, actually, before we do this, as a whole, marketing was the issue. We were not fully booking calendars. So we were like, oh, marketing is the issue. Marketing is the issue. We're hiring for CMO. We're building out an entire division over there. We get calendars fully booked. And we're like, okay, we solved this bottleneck, right? The macro of the department. Now we're booking fully. And then it was going to the sales team and they weren't closing. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's still marketing. It's marketing. It's marketing. We're solving for this. Like, we're not getting them quality. We need more consumption. We need more this. Like, the creatives are wrong, everything. In the end, it ends up being the sales team. So for a sales team, the different layers of the bottleneck that we are solving for right now is like, okay, cool. Now we have a new CSO in, absolutely crushing it for us. He's 1 weekend, but like he's setting the tone, like absolutely setting the tone, and is solving for this close portion. But now, what is higher leverage in there beyond the close, right? So the close, very, very impactful. Now, before that, how many people do they get to talk to? Because you could close 80% of the people you talk to, but if you only get to talk to a 20% show, so how we're then optimizing shows. And then the biggest one that we are identifying as a bottleneck is how many hours are they actually working for the team size? Okay, so we do salary, we do W-2, and the expectations around hours has then opened our eyes to the call length being an issue. So like you're just going down this rabbit hole, because the second you crack one of these, you crack something on a marketing funnel and your cost per call goes from 100 to 50 with the exact same quality. It's like night and day. Like all of a sudden, either you're doing more throughput or your costs are way down. So either your profit is way up or you're scaling into it because you now have the bandwidth on the back end because you're filling calendars, right? So on a VSL funnel, on a DTA, and kind of on a low ticket, for us, the literal bottleneck, if you look at the funnel flow, is calendar availability. So you can fill calendars, but now you have to make sure there's quality on them. Okay, so it's kind of constantly this dance. But we solved marketing, then we moved into solving sales, and now we're here solving this. And just this, like within a week, we are now same funnel, same flow, same lead quality, same volume, and we're closing like double the amount of units because of the frame shift of how we're doing things with the close and how we're doing things with scripting and everything there. Now the next layer of this is making sure that we're dominating shows and making sure that they have the most at-bats to close at the new high percentage, and then hours, opening up the bandwidth for how much team is there so that the volume per rep is actually higher, and then all of this downstream effect, right? So now it's like you have 10-hour block instead of a 6-hour block, so there's bandwidth. You have higher shows, so instead of only these ones showing, you have this much showing, and instead of this close rate, you have this. So the entire thing, throughput, just went up like 2.5, 3x, depending. Could be like 1.5 to 2, but still. So that is how the next piece of what we're solving for. And then again, we're going to go into the shift here because this is huge. So the renewal engine is the next piece on top of that. So today's Friday. We're solving for this on Monday. Honestly, all these videos are me just talking on a daily basis of like what we're doing now and whether it works or not. I tell you if it works or not, but this is our current plan. The renewal engine. So for this, it was how many are they connecting with? So somebody goes for a year and then has the opportunity to basically renew and buy again. But like, what is the touch point? So first we optimized around connects. We solve for that. We're like, okay, cool. Before 60 days before that they renew, we're going to focus on setting an automation that gets them, that pushes them to get on the calendar. So now you're going to have a drop off, right? You're going to have 100 people that are coming in that are basically at the point of almost the end of their contract, and 100 of them are going to get this notification and 60 of them are going to book. So we're optimizing for that. So we optimized for this piece, got as many as we could connected and on the phone with a like retention manager. Okay. They got on there. Now, what we realized was a big bottleneck here was the actual offer stack of what we were offering them. Because right now we were just saying, hey, here's a discounted another year of the same thing. Now, not to say that's an issue, but one, that it increases LTV overall, but it's a smaller cart, and it also is the same fulfillment cost, right? Because it's still the same service delivery. It's still the same thing. So what we're now doing is we're doing two different ones. So we're having the exact same offering, but volume. So, okay, cool. You did a year. Now let's do 2 or 3. So we're casting out the exact same one-to-one model at a discount. Okay. So that increases LTV like large, because let's say someone's paying $4,000 and now you're going to do 10 grand or whatever for 3 years, call it. And that's like a crazy steal. And your fulfillment math is technically like it eats into margin more, but you're getting more cash up front. And then as long as you just, there's tons of videos on this, but like if you're keeping that cash stocked away for future coach pay, you're solid. And it's really just moving cash forward for you. And so you have to understand that you are eating into margin when you do that. The other model is actually one that has like way higher gross margin because it's a group setting. So the fulfillment portion of it. So we're going to have basically more of the same, and then a continuity downsell version. And having those different offers is going to get a higher take rate. That is my assumption. Okay. So having those, and then it's also more gross margin for the company because the different offers have better margins, the lower ones. Okay. And which is, I assume, is going to be a lot of people. All right. And then the next piece of that is the actual closes. So we're doing new scripting. We're doing a focus on that. All that launches on Monday, but that's how we're looking at it and solving for it. Again, I need to get to this shift part because you're going to like that part. So renewal retention is then the next portion. And that's where I'm like forecasting out and trying to get ahead of and trying to solve for. So it's not actually a bottleneck. So like right now, if I solved renewal retention, it's not even something that needs to be solved. So the biggest thing coming back to here is like finding the thing that right now is limiting the constraint. Because if you are not getting enough applications and then you're trying to optimize your sales process, it's like solve for the applications. Solve for the thing that is limiting the throughput of the overall org. Okay. So like if you're not getting enough bookings and filling calendars, it's like get more bookings. If you're not closing enough of them and you have full calendars, fix that. If you are churning customers left and right, fix the leaky bucket. And like you need to shift your focus to these different things. And it's hard when there's multiple, but I'm telling you right now, there is one core one at any given time that is the biggest needle mover in the entire company. And depending on where you sit in the org, that is generally speaking as an owner, a CEO, an operator, whatever, like a C level, that is your main focus. Right? It's to keep it going everywhere else, but then to focus on that and solve for it. It's like, I don't want to say all hands on deck because you don't want to distract, but yeah. So solving for renewal retention ahead of time, I'm just trying to like educate on it, but that's activation, making sure that those first X amount of days, I'm trying to read the books that are talking about that, keeping it sticky and keeping it like a really engaging community, and then building it out as their lifer. I just threw these ones on here, but like just to talk about the idea of trying to get ahead of it and be proactive on like what the next bottleneck could be. Because the second now that marketing's filling calendars, sales is like cranking, it pours into fulfillment. So what is most likely to break next? If this was the bottleneck and solved, this is the bottleneck now solved, this is now the next one. It is, you're onboarding 50 people a day. You have refund requests, you have CS, you have all this stuff, and trying to get ahead of that next bottleneck after you solve the first one. So solving the first one is going to get you your breakthrough in terms of dollars or like results. And then the next one, being ready for it, is huge, 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 huge. Because if you can forecast it, you don't get caught like holding in your hand, which we have so many times. And just, I don't even know how, but like we're here now. So the big shift, fixing versus replacing yourself. So this can become a fix-it hamster wheel where, like I said, there's always a fire to be put out. And that is just life. Like that's business, that's life. You're always going to have something that's the bottleneck or the constraint or the thing that's on fire. But doing it, so right, like it's inevitable. Now you can replace yourself in doing this, and this is like the big idea here. So in the example of us doing it in marketing, we could have gone in and built out marketing and fixed it ourselves, and that's not like ego-y or whatever. Like the team that we have in place can and did at some level do it. But instead what we did is we put a strong leader in place that really was the one who like led it and operated it through fixing it. Okay. So like replacing yourself in that, so that now when you go and shift to the next one, you move to sales or fulfillment or whatever piece, or your personal life explodes and you need to go focus on that, you know that where you're leaving it is not, oh, I fixed it one time and it's going to break again. Or you have a higher certainty that it will not happen because you don't just like keep your eyes off it. And instead, somebody else is responsible for that and driven through that with KPIs and their focus. It's their main focus. So in that example, CMO. Now we're doing it with sales, right? So like the CSO, actually came in and fixed it, had experience way beyond what we have had with our personal best, came in and is fixing it real time. And that is a good example of like, we replaced ourselves before even. So like our job was really identifying the constraint, solving for it by doing a hire. Okay. So that's like the higher leverage thing here. And then, you have new bottlenecks, which is, communication and structure and like making sure everyone needs their thing. But like the big bottleneck was that. Now, next one is being able to replace yourself better. And what I mean by that is being able to replace yourself and not just know that it's going to maintain, but that you have set the tone and or the person is the type of person who sets the tone on their own, which is amazing and like dream state, that is going to continue to grow this thing without you. Okay. So like truly turning it into a machine where if you guys are doing $1 million a month and you come back, you ideally want the team to at least keep the $1 million a month, right? Across whatever division, whatever bottleneck that you solved. And then you went on to the next thing, you come back and put your focus on, you check in and you're like, oh, cool. We're still at $1 million a month, right? The dream state is that instead somebody has a built-in either themselves or is, KPI or whatever to where they are growing it. So marketing is actually, instead of just maintaining the calendars and just, running the ads and it's built, they are coming up with completely new offers. They're coming up with new things. They're constantly trying to drive the cost pers across everything down, while also like maintaining the quality or increasing the quality at the same cost, right? Same idea. Same thing with sales. It's like if you move your eyes to this other department, which is at some level where we fucked up, is we were like not looking at certain departments and being like, oh, they're good. They're just, they're just waiting, or they're okay. We need to solve this bottleneck and then it'll be okay. And it is not the case all the time. And we have clear as day seen that, is we have departments that were not optimized and not growing in themselves and finding ways to continue to grow and hit new numbers, even when there's bottlenecks. And that's the culture that we are trying to foster now, is one of where you are continuously solving the bottleneck and they are continuously bettering themselves, even when the focus of, the entire C-level basically is on marketing, to be like, how can we fix this? What assets can we do? Where can we fix, whole new website, whatever. We're like all hands on deck. But at the same time, they are growing within their department. Fulfillment is continuing to grow. So like this entire time for us, fulfillment has been just like, making sure they have the best people on team. They have been, people have churned on team, and we have replaced with like killers, and like they are ready and ready and ready. So you want to talk about a department that for us, an example that is like proactive and ahead of it on trying to do that is them, right? Now, this retention thing kind of been like wishy-washy over here. Like it hasn't been led in a way that where it has had the results or the data or the things around it. So it's like now we shift our focus over here and hope that marketing and sales is that. So hopefully that makes sense. Kind of a bit of a yap, but yeah, this is like where we're at. This is how I think about things, think about everything as a funnel. You're only one bottleneck away. And I mean that in the true sense. So if you've seen in the other videos, we were losing 20 grand a day. We were breaking even on the month. Last month I showed, we did 1.6, I think, in last month. And that's basically break even in cash for us, which is like not cool for where we're at with overhead and where we need to spend into to fill W-2, all the stuff. And then we crushed it with marketing, got it to that place. We now have the new CSO in, and, we're at 100 and something today, and we were at 100 and something the day before. And like, we're right there now with the consistency on that side, and it's only going to get better here. So now I am personally, I'm shifting my focus to making sure that these people have their stuff, but really is where I'm focused is on this back end. That's why right now I'm posting on X and I'm talking about like, community books and retention systems and, mitigating churn and making products so valuable that, they get pissed if their subscription fails, like stuff like that. So that's what I'm solving for. So I look at everything like this. That's a bit of the daily update. So www.ryanclogg.com/doc has all the videos I've made. I've done 65, I think is today, days in a row of this. I sort them by tech, marketing, sales, ops. I only know what I know. I don't know a lot. So this is our experience of things and literally just sharing what we did that worked, what we did, a lot of things that did not work, and what we're actively doing, which is thinking in this theory and solving in this way. And we are getting results right now, in a short-term basis of we're increasing. So I'm excited to do the month in review at the end of this month of May, because I think we're going to have a decent growth from month prior and then into the next, just like hammer it. So projection for this was, a 90-day rollout of this, and a week in, we're seeing good results. So I'm interested to see kind of how fast this can take, because we haven't changed anything other than, basically vibe, numbers, structure, cadence, standards, like things are on there and just like in leadership, and we've kept the same team. So yeah, I'm excited. So I think, we're right there. And then hopefully some of these videos soon will be 3 and 5 and 6 a month. And then we're going to do some other crazy stuff that's kind of like outside of this scope. I know I've been talking about these for a lot of it, and it's really what the business is. It's just more of the same. And then talking about additional things that are non-distracting, that are just like supplemental increases in terms of how we run things on the back end, other ways to monetize, partnerships, stuff like that. But we are not there yet, and we do not want to distract until we are. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying when I'm like, this is no fucking ego. This is no anything. And like, I'm starting to get that weird feeling again of like, people are taking it out of context and, oh, look at us and what we've done. And that's not what this is. This is a way for me to network with cool people who are building shit. It's a way for me to find talent. That's how I found the CSO. There's a way for me to share and find opportunities and just network and talk to people, because I don't talk to anyone in my like personal about this until I started making these videos. And now I talk to people every day, all day about this, and I love it. So hopefully that was helpful. Let me know, X, Instagram, happy to chat about whatever. I just answer anyone's questions. I'm happy to. So talk to you guys soon, and thanks for the support.